Alright guys, it's 2017, so Happy New Year. I haven't done a video this year, so I hope you're all well. The next couple of weeks I'm doing a few compilation lists of the worst special editions that I have, as well as some of the best. Today we're going to be tackling the worst. I'll be honest, this is something that doesn't always happen to me, much of it's because I'm pretty conscientious on what I buy. However, there has been a couple of times where I have been burnt. So this is going to be a list of 7 of the worst special editions. Alright, so these aren't really in a best to worst category. It's just basically 7 albums that are crap. So at number 7 we've got Lady Gaga's last album, Joanne. One of my favourite albums of last year, hands down. I thought it was a really good direction that she went in sound. Songs are catchy as hell, and yeah, it's just an all-round strong album. However, the special edition was not really worth the extra money, and I find that with pop albums anyway. Any special edition you get, they tend to have crap extras. The songs aren't really worth the extra money that you're paying, so you're better off just buying the standard album. But there's nothing worse than getting a special edition that's just a basic jewel case, which is exactly what this is. So there it is, Random Deluxe edition, just a standard case, jewel case, and you get 3 tracks. One of them's just a different take on it was the closing track, Angel Down. Just a different take, not really worth it. Any of the 2 are barely worth mentioning. So yeah, not really worth it. Alright, so number 6 we've got Limp Bizkit. A dirty word for a lot of people, but I actually find these guys really fun. And a rabid West Brom fan, so I always follow his work, but I find that he brings a lot of interesting stuff to the band. But the downside to this band, I feel, is the special editions. I wouldn't suggest buying any of them. Well, then again, I suppose the last albums, the early albums, are quite cheap, so it wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't really bust your wallet. But the last album, Gold Cobra, they had a special edition for that. That is quite an expensive album, considering how old it is. It was made in 2011, I think. So even the standard edition goes for a few quid, but this special edition is quite a bit more, and it isn't really worth the money anyway. I find that even though I loved the album, it's one of my favourite Limp Bizkit albums, I think the last quarter of the album really dragged. Yeah, the songs felt like B-sides towards the end, so to justify a special edition with extra tracks is just mind-blowing, really. So yeah, the extra tracks that you get with it aren't very good at all, and there's no packaging either. So there it is, jewel case, standard jewel case once again. There's a few extra tracks, but like I said, they're not really worth the money. And the difference between this special edition and the standard is the Gold Cobra tag at the top. The standard's just silver, but that's gold, so that's really the only difference. I wouldn't really suggest buying it, but buy the album, the standard version, because it is a great album. And I also brought up Results May Vary. This is for a different reason. Like I say, Gold Cobra had double tracks as their selling point for the special edition, but this and albums previous, like Chocolate Starfish, they contain bonus CDs, but the CDs are not worth the money. This one in particular has a shitty documentary, just a couple of slapdash scenes, interviews, a couple of live videos. Yeah, not worth it. Alright, so at number 5 we have Marilyn Manson's Pale Emperor. This was hands down one of my favourite albums of 2015. It was an amazing album. Definitely back to form. I think it's the best thing he's done since Eat Me, Drink Me, I'd say. It really rejuvenated his rather stale sound. but there's a little history between when he left his major label. I can't remember the name. I think it was Interscope Records. It might be. He left there to go to an independent label, which is Cooking Vinyl. He did that with Born Villain, and since then there's been a drastic drop in quality to his physical output. Just feels really cheap, very DIY. I know, like I say, independent label, but you can't really tar every independent label with that kind of brush. But you can really tell that there is a dip in quality from his physical stuff. When Pale Emperor came out, I bought the CD and T-shirt bundle, which was on his site. And after the CD, when I got the CD, I actually ended up buying the deluxe vinyl because of how shocking the packaging is for this album. And to be honest with you as well, the vinyl, the quality of that, even though it's a lot better, it's still not great because I've got the lyric inlays and the pictures that come with it just started peeling away. I'm not sure it's from room temperature or what, I don't know. So even that's not great. But the CD is absolutely abysmal. There it is. Now the camera makes it look a lot better than it actually is. But it's basically got like a scratchy coating over the top of it. It just disorientates the beautiful artwork, and I do really love the artwork on Pale Emperor. Just all the stuff, you can't even read the track listing, and it's just basically stuck on as well. You just see it's just tacked on. Here's the panels, panel case, cardboard panel case. That looks nice. No lyric sheet, which was disappointing. Yeah, on a packaging side, this is absolutely garbage. The extra tracks, they're okay. Just acoustic versions of songs that you'll hear on the album anyway, which I find a little lazy, but they do add a little bit of a nice dynamic to what you hear on the original album anyway. So I suppose they're okay, but from a physical side, don't bother. Right, so this one's a strange one. It's Linkin Park's A Thousand Suns. This album, when it first came out, I absolutely hated it. It just didn't sound like a Linkin Park album to me at all. But I have grown to like it over the years, and now it's actually one of my favourite Linkin Park albums. I do really enjoy it. But with the special edition, when I bought it originally, it wasn't the extras I thought it was, and that's down to, I think this is down to the fact that the UK gets a different version to what the US get. So the UK version gets this. This is actually pretty decent. If you're looking to buy one of the two versions, I would recommend this one. It comes with a live DVD, one of the shows. The Reddit is a hell, which I don't really like, but it is a decent gig, and it comes with an MP3 audio file of the gig, which is alright. So that's good. But the US version, I think, is not as good. Although saying on a packaging side, it does trump the UK version, which is in a digipack and is black. Different artwork after the original artwork. Gatefold, CD, DVD. The DVD's not worth it though. The DVD's a making of A Thousand Suns. If you've watched Minutes to Midnight, their documentary is pretty in depth, and is it actually worth watching? This one just feels like a weird slapped together DVD. It doesn't really give you any insight. I mean, there's a couple of scenes where they're having problems writing, but the editing's all over the place and it doesn't really flow very well. So, and that's the only extra that you get with that special edition. So I'd avoid the US version and get the UK version if you want to get one of the two. Alright, so at number 3 we have Slipknot. Love these guys. I love their albums up to volume 3. I find after that quality's dropped quite significantly. I did enjoy the last album, certain aspects of the last album. I thought Jay Weinberg's drumming was absolutely phenomenal. I thought he really added new dimensions to the band, and it made them sound fresh. But when we're talking on special editions, generally these guys suck with the extras. Bar one of their albums, which I'll be reviewing in one of my other videos, or the two that I bought special editions, they are terrible. The first one is the last album, The Grey Chapter, and it's not really on a packaging side of things because it does look pretty nice. Again, Digipack. This is 2 CD and I have absolutely no idea why, because basically the second CD is just 2 bonus tracks. Why they couldn't be on the normal CD, I don't know. Probably to make it sound like there's something more substantial behind it all, but it's just not worth it. The tracks suck as well, in my opinion. You can definitely tell why they're not on the final album. So yeah, avoid that one. And even though this is still number 3, I'm going to show you All Hope Is Gone, because it's another one which is not a good special edition. Again, it's a digipack, so packaging perspective it's nice. It's quite bad, this, but we've had it since it first came out, so it's just quite tatty. This is CD DVD. There's the lyric in there, fall out. It does come with bonus tracks. Again, bonus tracks not really that good. And a DVD making of All Hope Is Gone, once again, like Linkin Park's A Thousand Suns. It's not a documentary, doesn't give you any insight, it's just a really hack job, edited mess of a documentary, which doesn't really give you any insight to anything, so I'd avoid this as well. Alright, so number 2, I'm going to be showing you Duran Gray's Ouroboros. I'll put it right on the table now that this is one of my favourite albums of all time. It has nothing to do with what I'm about to show you. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend you check it out, but I'd recommend you check out the remastered and expanded edition of Ouroboros, simply because the original album suffered really badly from muddy production. Sounds a little bit anal to say, but when you listen to the difference between the two, you'll see the remastered edition is far superior, and everything just sounds great on it. The UK edition, there's quite a few additions to this original Ouroboros CD. Right, so I bought this on Play way back in the day when it first came out. It comes in a jewel case. It's a little bit different to the normal jewel case. I'm not sure it's like some sort of Japanese half-breed, because I know a lot of the Japanese jewel cases come in thick cases, which are really nice. I know it's a bit weird to say, but they do feel nice. This one's got like the edges round off. It's still a jewel case nonetheless. But the bonus tracks, you get 3 bonus tracks. It's the Japanese versions of Glass Skin and Dozen Green, and Agitated Screaming of Maggots Unplugged, which is an interesting track. I wouldn't recommend diving in on that if you're just about to check out the band. But the reason this is on the list is because the track listing to this CD has the English versions of Dozen Green and Glass Skin, and quite honestly they are terrible. They break up the album. Any immersion that you have when you're in listening to it is broken, because there's just something very jarring about hearing Japanese people speaking English. It just doesn't come across great. Not knocking everyone that speaks that's Japanese that speaks English, but it didn't work very well for Kyo. And yeah, it breaks up the album pretty badly. And to make the bonus tracks the Japanese versions is absolute insanity. It should have been the Japanese versions on the original track listing, and the English version should be the bonus tracks. But maybe it was just a marketing tactic to try and get more Western listeners into the band, but quite honestly it doesn't work. So yeah, great album, but I'd avoid this UK version and get the remastered version, or an imported Japanese original version that has the original track listing. Alright, so at number 1, like I say, this isn't a best to worst list. They all have their own weaknesses. So at number 1, this is 30 Seconds to Mars, Love, Lust, Faith and Dreams. This album is not great. I did not like it a lot. There's a couple of songs on it that I thought were okay, but for the most part I thought the album was pretty shit. But this special edition makes things a lot worse. Now, I haven't bought the Mega Deluxe or whatever it was, because it was an obscene amount of money. So I just ended up buying the CD and DVD, which was a few quid more. And the CD DVD is not really worth the money. Basic jewel case once again. CD's behind there. You have to pop it out. Yeah, you have to pop it out. So just standard jewel case, and all it contains on the DVD is a couple of little documentaries that don't really go into any detail on anything. The first one's on the 300 show that they've done. I think they did a world record for it, for doing the most shows in a tour. And there's a little documentary on the album as well, I think. Yeah, not really worth it. Alright, so there we have it. There's 7 of my worst special editions. I have a few more like that, but it's in the same vein, as in lackluster bonus tracks, or no imagination to the packaging and all that. So yeah, that was the list. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it becomes useful to anything that you're possibly looking at buying. If you've got any bad special editions, let me know, because I'm always interested in knowing, because you never know, it might be one that I'm looking at. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.